As we all know that some criminals don't care about what happens as a result of their actions. But what happens when the consequences of their bad decisions catch up with them? Today, we will explore the internal workings of the justice system, where some of the most dangerous criminals confront their lifelong destinies, and their reactions will shock you. Come along with us on this exciting adventure as we bring you dangerous convicts and how they reacted to their sentences. Are they truly remorseful, or do you think their sentences were unfair? We'll leave you to be the judge. Back in 2012, something terrible occurred at a high school. A 17-year-old student named TJ Lane caused great harm by shooting 6 children. Sadly, 3 young lives were lost forever. Reports suggested that the shooter had a disagreement with one of the victims. TJ used a type of handgun called a .22 caliber, which unfortunately his victims also possessed. 2 of the injured students were rushed to the hospital, with one of them suffering grave injuries that left them unable to move their bodies. The authorities took action and charged Lane with 3 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of assault. But due to TJ's age, he was held in a special center for young offenders, while they considered whether he should face trial as an adult. This tragic incident unfolded as TJ awaited a bus that would take him to alternative school where he was supposed to attend classes. The 3 teenagers who lost their lives in this heart-wrenching shooting were Danny Patmerton, Russell King Jr., and Demetrius Hewlin. Some people thought that TJ lost control and couldn't handle the situation. However, the prosecutor in his case called him a disgusting human being for his actions. When TJ appeared in court for his charges, he wore a blue shirt, but later revealed a white t-shirt with the word "killer" written on it. Everyone was left lost for words by his shockingly odd behavior. In March 2013, Lane pleaded guilty to all his crimes. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for 3 counts with no possibility of parole. In 2015, a sad incident occurred in Lexington, Kentucky, leaving the local Muslim community in deep sorrow. It was a day that ended in tragedy for Salahuddin, a young man who worked as a pizza delivery person. The whole incident deeply affected the community because Salahuddin's father, who held a highly respected position as the principal of a local Islamic academy, was well known and admired by many. A terrible thing occurred while Salahuddin was out delivering pizzas on that fateful day. He was attacked and robbed by a person named Trey Alexander Relford and his companions. The incident shook the community to its core. It was later revealed that Relford had committed a hate crime. As a consequence of his actions, Relford was found guilty and handed a sentence of 31 years in prison. Salahuddin had dreams and aspirations of becoming a filmmaker, but tragically his life was cut short. However, despite facing such an immense tragedy, Salahuddin's father, Dr. Abdul Munim Sombat Jitmud, displayed extraordinary compassion during the court proceedings. It was a moment filled with deep emotion and genuine sincerity when he decided to offer forgiveness to Relford on behalf of his son and himself. Dr. Jitmud explained that forgiveness is highly valued in Islam, representing a significant act of kindness and charity. The scene of forgiveness and reconciliation between Dr. Jitmud and Relford was incredibly moving. Tears flowed down their faces as they embraced one another, symbolizing the incredible power of forgiveness and Relford's genuine remorse. This touching display of compassion touched the hearts of many people who witnessed it locally and online. News of this remarkable act of forgiveness spread far and wide, gaining admiration and respect from individuals all around the world.
Cameron Herron. Cameron, who was only 18 years old, caused a terrible accident to occur back in 2018. The incident took place on Bayshore Boulevard and had devastating consequences, resulting in the loss of his mother and young daughter. It was reported that Cameron was accompanied by a friend who was driving a Nissan Altima on that fateful day in May. Meanwhile, Cameron himself was behind the wheel of a black Ford Mustang, a car he had received as a graduation gift. On that morning, Jessica Reisinger Robinault, a woman originally from Ohio but visiting her relatives in Tampa, decided to take a walk. She pushed her 21-month-old daughter, Lilia, in a stroller as they crossed the road near Knights Avenue. It was during this innocent activity that tragedy struck. Both Cameron and his friend acknowledged their responsibility for causing the accident, leaving it up to the judge to determine their sentences. Cameron deeply regretted what he did and understood how serious it was. The state's rules said the least punishment for his crime was 18 years, but it could go up to 30. Cameron's lawyer tried to argue for a lower sentence, but the judge gave him 24 years in the end. He got 9 years for causing his mom's death and 15 more for his young daughter's death. Cameron looked shocked and scared when the judge said the decision, but a mask partly covered his face. His mom hugged him tightly and cried before the police took him away. Even after he appealed, a group of 3 judges agreed with the sentence. They wanted to use Cameron's case as a warning to stop other careless drivers from causing the same kind of tragedy. This is one of the scariest reactions ever seen from someone who has been found guilty. Donta Wright, who was only 17 years old at the time, committed a horrific murder of an 18-year-old teenager named Jordan Klee from Ann Arbor. Jordan, a student at Pioneer High School, should have been attending classes, but instead he was tragically discovered shot dead on October 2016. A Pine Lake Village Apartments maintenance worker found his lifeless body not far from his home. Jordan was a senior in high school, a diligent student, and had a passion for playing football. Donta Wright was the accused murderer and was scheduled to have a pre-trial hearing. However, he surprised everyone by confessing to the crime during the legal proceedings. He displayed absolutely no signs of remorse. In fact, he appeared in court with a disturbing smile on his face every time. When Jordan's grieving family read their heart-wrenching statement about their beloved son, Donta's actions were pure malevolence. He sat there smiling and even had the audacity to laugh at times. The judge was utterly disgusted by his behavior and questioned whether the agreed-upon sentence was too lenient considering his appalling actions. It would have been reasonable to immediately proceed to trial and sentence him to life imprisonment. However, on July 2017, Donta was ultimately given a sentence of 25 to 52 years in prison. Although justice was served to some extent, the sinister and unremorseful demeanor displayed by Donta throughout the proceedings left a lasting impression on all those involved.
Divorce is a really tough situation for any couple, no matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter if they are parting ways amicably or if one person is completely against it. Sometimes money becomes a big issue that needs to be settled, and unfortunately, children often get caught in the middle. It's a difficult and emotional time, but one must wonder, is it ever worth attempting to end your partner's life? In the case of Diana Lovejoy, it seems she believed it was. She was recently found guilty of her involvement in a failed murder-for-hire plot against her husband. When the verdict was announced in court, the people present were shocked beyond belief. Diana collapsed and fainted right there in the courtroom. Her accomplice, Walden K. McDavid, was also found guilty of conspiring to commit murder. The judge had to clear the courtroom so that Diana could receive immediate medical attention. They carried her out on a stretcher, and a paramedic remarked that she appeared to be in a state of complete shock. It's difficult to place the blame entirely on her, especially considering the severe consequences she was facing. The guilty verdict meant she would be sentenced to spend a minimum of 25 years to life in prison. Meanwhile, the person who actually pulled the trigger, her firearms instructor, Weldon McDavid Jr., could potentially be sentenced to an even longer prison term of 50 years to life. But why did Diana hire someone to kill her husband in the first place? According to a female juror, Diana didn't want to share custody of their son or pay him $120,000 in the divorce settlement. The situation overwhelmed her, leading to desperate measures. But violence is never the answer. Resolving conflicts legally is always the better option.